สวัสดีครับผมชื่อเกรเซนนะครับแล้วก็วันนี้ผมมาแนะนำน้องๆจะเป็นนักกีฬาเก่งที่สุดในโลกประมาณอีก5 ปีนะครับผมเป็นหัวหน้าทีมฟุตบอลประเทศไทยปี 2030 นะครับแล้วก็เรามีแผนพิเศษได้ชนะใน World Cup แน่ๆในอีก10 ปีนะครับข้อที่1คือว่าก็ล้อเล่นนะครับเกรเซนไม่ใช่เป็นนักฟุตบอลไม่ใช่เป็นโค้ชฟุตบอลนะครับแต่ว่าอยากล้อเล่นก่อนนะครับแต่ว่าจริงๆทีม TED Talk ข้อ Graysen ใส่ชุดทำงานนะครับ So if I don't have anything to do with athletics or sports why is this my uniform at work every single day? Well, as part of my job, I have to chase children around the neighborhood. Some of them the children you saw before. Now no, I'm not a bully. I'm in charge of a program called SamYan NewGen. And at SamYan NewGen, we bring together volunteers from places like TEDxTriam Udom Suksa Youth and Chula, and we match them with students that need a little bit extra help from SamYan. Right now, we teach 3 classes, or I should say, our volunteer teachers teach 3 classes. We have Thai, Math, and English. My job is to coordinate the chaos of what happens when you bring 30 kids and 15 volunteers into a tiny little coffee shop right behind Chula. Now, before I go any further, I need to judge the audience, see where we're at, okay? So, I need to know everyone who likes and doesn't like children, okay? If you like kids, raise your right hand. Keep them up. If you don't like kids, raise your left hand. Keep them up, keep them up. And if you're not really sure, you can put them both up and just kind of wave at me. Okay, thank you. You can put your hands down now. So, to be completely honest, I don't like kids. I don't like kids. I don't like teaching. I know that some people just love getting to spend time with the next generation. Nope, not me. So, why does someone who doesn't like kids and doesn't like teaching lead an education program for children? Let me explain. It all started right after I moved to Thailand because I knew I was moving right across the street from the #1 school in the country. But it didn't take me living here very long to realize a lot of the kids in my neighborhood didn't have access to quality education. In fact, a lot of them were not even on track to graduate high school. So after I'd been here learning Thai, maybe a year and a half, I met these boys. We're going to call the oldest one Luke Chin because every day after school, he would come and help his family sell Luke Chin right on the side of Ramapur Road. And so he had some English homework, he had to interview a Farang, and everyone knows I'm the Farang that speaks a little bit of Thai. And so as he's asking me questions, I start asking him questions. And one of the things that I ask him is say, hey, when do you graduate? Where do you want to go? What do you want to study next? And he just looks at me and goes, Hongo. And then he goes on to describe that there was no way he's going to go to university. He's way too stupid to graduate high school, and he was just waiting until his parents were going to let him quit school entirely. And I'm still fairly new, and I think, I'm sure I misunderstood him. So I look at Mom, and she just kind of shrugs and explains, yeah, we don't know how much longer we're going to keep doing this. The tuition's obviously not doing any good. I was shocked. I've never heard anyone, parent or kid, talk about quitting school like this. So I ran to some of my friends and I was like, hey, we've got these 2 boys, they need help, they're struggling in school, what can we do? And every single person had the exact same response. The education system is so broken. There's nothing anyone can do. So, that meant the only thing that I could do was ignore everything everyone told me. And I went back to Luke Chin's mom and I said, hey, I don't think your kid is stupid. And if you promise to keep him in school, I promise to come and teach English once a week, every week. Deal? Deal. Now, I know teaching English isn't going to fix every problem that he has at school. And I know teaching English isn't going to fix every class that he's got to study in or every problem that he's got at his house. But I believe All it takes to make a difference in someone's life is a small, consistent effort over time. Week after week, month after month, year after year. So that's what I did. In the sun, in the rain, in the pollution. We would sit down on the side of Ramaphore Road with buses honking their horns and ambulances, sirens blaring, stuck in traffic. And everybody would just walk past us giving us really weird looks as we taught English. Week after week, month after month, year after year. Now, I need everyone to close your eyes just for a minute. Close your eyes. I want you to picture your walk home from school every day. And I want you to think about all the kids that you pass, especially all the kids that don't wear your school uniform. Think about the kids that are running around in the alley behind your school or near your house. Think about the kids that are playing on their parents' cell phone at the back of a restaurant or behind a shop. Okay, you can open your eyes now. See, when you really think about it, the interesting thing about Luke Chin and his brother is they're actually not that unique. They're just two of countless kids that society has completely left behind when it comes to education. Think about it. Many of the people in here are students. It's hard growing up and getting an education, right? You need your uniforms, you need the books, you need to be able to go to tutors, you need to be able to afford school tuition, and your parents have to be able to get you to and from school safely every single day. But what happens when you're a kid and you don't have those resources that we take for granted? What happens when you're a kid and you don't have a community of people investing in you? So we have so many of these kids that are just struggling to survive and make it through under the best of circumstances. But all of this got so much worse 4 years ago. Anyone remember what happened in 2020? Anybody? COVID. Awful, right? Remember 8 hours a day online? Hated it, right? It was terrible, awful, okay? I had to teach, I had to learn. Everything online is awful and I hate it. But imagine how much worse it was for all the kids who didn't have a computer, didn't have a tablet, they didn't have a phone. And none of it would matter anyways because their house doesn't have Wi-Fi. We had all these kids popping up and their parents saying, we don't know what to do. We need your help. We need to be able to educate our children, but we never went to school. We can't teach them these subjects because we never learned it ourselves. So, SamYan NewGen was born. And what started as a classroom for 8 kids in the early days of the pandemic has grown into an after-school program with about 30 active students. And every season we have about 45 teachers. And we have 3 seasons every single year. So as we went from having 8 kids to 30 kids, we had to bring in a boatload of teachers to come and work with us. And we were faced with the question of, what kind of a community do we want to become? What kind of values do we want to live out for ourselves, but also to set an example for our students? And so, we looked at some of our best volunteers, and we saw what makes them so great, and we built our values around them. The best example I have for this is a guy named Mighty. Mighty taught a student that's very dear to my heart that we're going to call Ronaldo. The reason Ronaldo is so dear to my heart is I have spent more time with him than any other student in our program. Why? Because when he would study with anybody, there would be fights, there would be tears, there would be screaming, there would be all kinds of problems and disruptions. So I was constantly having to go over to Ronaldo and pull him to come and study with me every single day. But Mighty came in and we thought, this could be a good fit. And so on the very first day, Mighty walks into class ready to teach. Ronaldo's not there. 5 minutes late, nothing. 10 minutes later, everyone else in the classroom is either learning or teaching. And Mighty's just sitting there waiting. And about 15 or 20 minutes after class, he would see me dragging this kid to class that didn't want to be there because his parents helped me hunt him down in the neighborhood. And every single day, that kid would get through the door and he would cross his arms, he would stump over, and he would sit down, and he would say, วันนี้ไม่เรียนไม่พร้อมปวดหัวไม่ไหวหิวข้าวอารมณ์เสียวันนี้ไม่เรียน Every single day. But Mighty would just walk over to him and say, that's okay. You want to play Uno? How was your day? What'd you do over the weekend? Hey, tell me more about your favorite football player. Ronaldo, obviously. And slowly but surely, this kid would start to relax. And he would loosen up and start to talk a little bit. Now, we honestly didn't see much progress. If we were really, really lucky, we might be able to sneak 20 or 30 minutes into a lesson that was supposed to be an hour and a half. But most days, he'd come home from school so frustrated and so upset that our best hope is that he would go play Uno in the corner and not get into fights or disturb any of the other students. We didn't really see a lot of progress that season, but that's what Mighty did. Every week he came and gave him his full attention and showed him kindness and patience and took an interest in what he was interested in. And he didn't really have anything to show for it until the first day of our next season. Because on that day, when Mighty walked into class, Ronaldo was already here, waiting to study with him. Because he'd learned at school, he'll get made fun of, he'll get humiliated. But here, with Mighty and the other volunteers, it was safe. Safe to ask questions, safe to make mistakes, safe to admit that you know something. And so every single week, we have teams of volunteers that come in to care for students like Ronaldo. And they know, they will tell you what I'm about to tell you, that Ronaldo and all our other kids are amazing. They're thoughtful, they're kind, they're caring. They just need a big brother or a big sister to come and help them through education. Someone that can walk beside them in their journey. And it's because of the incredible work of these volunteers that 3 months ago, Ronaldo came running into our classroom, jumping up and down, screaming, "Paleo, paleo, paleo, paleo," because he'd done something that he thought was impossible. He'd just passed his Monoon entrance exams. And the kid that I used to have to drag to class every single day was jumping up and down for joy that he gets to keep going to school. And I could go on and on. Take the girl that hated school. She just didn't get it, and she would get so frustrated when her parents tried to tutor her things. She comes to our class, and she falls in love with learning. And she looks at her mom and dad, and she goes, "Can we come here every single day? Because I love it here." But the thing that's most amazing to me about this program is that the volunteers love it as much as the students. Think about it. You have work, you have school, you have homework, you have projects, you have a social life. And this group of people chooses to come and sacrifice 2 hours every single week to be with a group of kids that most of the time have no interest in learning. This is a couple of photos that are my favorite from last year. We had a horrible rainstorm right before math class one day, and my phone started blowing up, and the teachers were saying, "Hey Graysen, we're so sorry, we're stuck at Midtown, and it's raining, we don't have an umbrella, what do we do?" And I looked outside the window, it wasn't raining, it was pouring. And I said, "It's okay, stay there, I can teach your kids today, it's a terrible storm, there's nothing you can do." And they ignored everything that I said and came running through a storm to get to class. Because these teachers know all it takes to change a life is a small, consistent effort over time. Week after week, month after month, year after year. And they wanted to make sure that they didn't miss a single day of it. Our volunteers are amazing. And we actually have a lot of them in this room. So, if you are or have ever been a volunteer at SamYan NewGen, would you please stand up? And I know who you are, and I will call your names. Can we give them a round of applause? Okay, I'll put you down now. Thank you. I didn't tell them I was going to do that today, so they'll be mad at me, but it's okay. Guys, I came here so you could see how amazing our volunteers are. Some of them are your classmates, some of them are your friends, some of them are total strangers. But they are incredible, and I came here to tell you about them and to ask you, how can you join them? How can you look around and develop the community around you? It doesn't have to be kids, it doesn't have to be education. Think back to your walk home every day. The old lady struggling to push her food cart through the soil, or the migrant workers with limited education, limited resources, and sending all their money back home to their families. You're not going to be a big brother or big sister to everybody, but you could be a friend, you could be a teacher, you could be an advisor, an advocate to somebody. And it doesn't have to be something big. All it takes is a small, consistent effort over time. And the cool thing is, there's no minimum age requirement. You don't have to wait until you graduate school or get a job or get so old or get married or whatever. You can start developing your community right now. We have students at Sing that have already transitioned from being a student to a teacher in our program. All it takes is a small, consistent effort over time. Week after week, month after month, year after year. I know because I've seen it. Not just in this program, but in my neighborhood. Do y'all remember Luke Chin? The boy that I met a while back that said he was too stupid to graduate high school? Remember him? He just finished his 3rd year at university. All we did was teach him one class once a week for 6 years. How much more can the people in this room do? If you find a community that you care about and you find something that interests you and you decide to make a difference in someone's life. You're not always going to know what to do, but you don't have to do it alone. Think about the community that's around you now, supporting you in your life and your education. What would happen if you partnered with them to help somebody else? It doesn't take a lot. A small, consistent effort over time. Week after week, month after month, year after year. Now it's time to ask yourself, who are the people around you that you can make a difference in their lives? Yeah, it's going to take time, but trust the process. Week after week, month after month, year after year, you'll see lives change, and it'll change your life too. Thank you.
And everyone please give a big round of applause for Mr. Graysen Ortega.